down. There we go. Alright, everybody's up in the right spot now. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Alright, we got big skeleton to draw. It looks to me like it's there's two of them, but it's the same one for both of them, so. You come over here, Bosch. From her fantastical creature here. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Popping in. Oh, one more button to hit. Just realized it. Might not matter, but there we go. Can't believe I forgot to put that up there. Interesting. She's kind of designing this as a mammal, but gave a lot more bones in the neck. Good morning. Young, Mr. Lee. Alright, keep these spines on the tail loose. I don't think I need to spend my life rendering each of those individually for this study to function properly. Do some more information on these neck ones, though. I think these are worth paying attention to here. Where's my usual crew? It is Friday morning, so maybe everyone's all tired from partying out on a Thursday night, right? Good morning. Good morning. You come lay down, Bosch? Maybe? Good morning. Got a big old skeleton here of the creature to draw today. Something I noticed, like in some of these books, is there's a she has the skeleton on here twice. The other one has the end of the tail missing. It's just kind of to fill up some space, I guess. But I've seen that a number of times in the book where she'll have like the creature drawing or the animal drawing, and then she'll have it repeated on the same page. And I think it's just to kind of fill up some space. Like in the earlier ones, it was the anatomical stuff. She would have one that was all labeled, and then the other one would have no labels on it. Well, hers, it's based off of kind of actually off of a rhino, almost more. If you look up there, it's the skeleton for this thing, and so it has more neck bones than than mammals typically have. Mammals, almost all mammals, with a few exceptions, have 7 vertebrae in your neck. So between your head and your first rib, there's 7 vertebrae. There's atlas and axis at the top. Atlas at the top, then axis, and then there's the other 5. They probably have names, but I don't know their names. But I think sloths, they have 2 extra. And this has to do with how I guess they turn their heads. They need the extra bones so they can pivot their heads around. I think some more of the primitive mammals have them. I had to double check, but I think like moles might have an extra one or fewer or something like that, and platypuses and things like that. They kind of fall into that more kind of primitive mammal type. But I would check before. I should probably check and say which mammals have more or less than 7 vertebrae. Well, she has this creature designed to kind of live in the water and has a long neck. But I mean, giraffes have a long neck and they only have 7. So I'll have to ask her if I ever see her again. What's the deal with the number of vertebrae in this mammal's neck? And she'd probably say, it's not a mammal, it's an alien monster. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh. Everybody needs a hobby, right? Good morning. Everybody's in here late. Been going for 25 minutes almost, or 20 minutes-ish. 23 minutes or so. It was interesting, the faculty meeting I was in yesterday, something I was thinking about just now, but there was, some concerns about, students not transferring the importance of certain kinds of information between classes. So, like in one of their figure drawing classes, they do silhouettes and things in the class, and of course, they take my concept class later on, and they do silhouettes in there, and that's all great. But apparently, they don't have like that connection between the classes as a universal attitude. Or there was a complaint that they don't really do a lot of sketchbooking anymore. Like they don't. They have they sit on their phones, but they don't really sit and draw in their sketchbook all the time. And so I was sitting and thinking about it this morning. Like, well, I've generally found that if there's a universal problem among students, usually it's my fault that something isn't happening, or there's a misunderstanding, or they're not doing something the way that I want them to do it, like as a universal problem. It's usually not the student's fault. It's usually my fault. Like, I didn't explain something properly. And thinking maybe I should have said that yesterday if I thought about it. If we want to inculcate that habit of sketchbooking, then we need to put it as part of the courses, or show students what we're doing in our sketchbooks, that kind of thing. And because people like to blame the laziness. Yeah, well, it's just a piece of wood, That's all that really matters for that over there. And again, my table's at an angle, so it's not flat. It's actually up, so it's not flat down or anything. But it was just something I was thinking about this morning. Like, well, it's convenient to blame them, but is it really their fault? I don't know. I think I might need some water in my ink bowl here. It's getting a little thick. Grab the dirty sponge. Hopefully that's enough. Getting a little sticky in there. I'll drop my napkin on the floor, or my paper towel. Yeah, so that's just something I was thinking about this morning. If I wish I'd kind of mentioned that. We're planning on a meeting at the beginning of the year, so I'll probably bring it up then. I'll probably mention it to a few people independently, but sorry, boss, you're okay. Lay down. There you go. I think I'll bring this guy out. Too much ink on there. So I think it's more about us, brainstorming ways to, have that attitude. Because maybe students don't think about it. It's not, maybe it's like, if they were to think about it for 2 seconds, it'd be like, oh yeah, I guess I should do that. That wouldn't be a bad idea. But if you don't build that into the culture, then I don't think you can be surprised if. I definitely need some water. Yeah, that definitely ungummed everything. So I couldn't need a new nib already. So I definitely taught classes where I was like, okay, we're going to sketchbook a lot in this class. And that's going to be an important part of their homework. They kept a sketchbook, and they had to draw work from life or draw it from copy sources to practice their inking, and we're just gonna get tired of drawing all these little tiny bones. We're just gonna unify this rib cage into a solid shape. And then catch this, the false rib at the end with a floating rib. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like, but it's saying it's like, if we want students to recognize the value, we have to really put that in front of them. Again, that's I think part of that's making it an assignment. I think one of the things that I think a lot of educators don't seem to perceive is the level of distractions that students are kind of living in, and so I think that I think part of it is just recognizing that that's actually a real problem. It's not a problem that I had when I was a student as much. I mean, I certainly had as an undergrad there were certainly video games and things being popular. Maybe it's too wet now. Well, we didn't have smartphones and tablets when I was in school. If you wanted to go online, you had to sit down in front of a computer and turn it on and get to work with it and all that stuff. And I'll capture a couple of these spines that stick out of the spine just because I think the shape's interesting. But I don't want to draw all however many hundred she's got on here on the tail. Don't know that that adds anything to what I'm trying to accomplish from these drawings. So in doing copy work, there's different approaches. One is to, like, you want to copy exactly what they did, like all their process, the effect, every single stroke exactly the same, and yeah, as much as you can, and that's totally valid. I think for me, most I'm interested in process and the thinking behind it for what I'm looking at here with her work. Oh, I think my dog needs his blanket. Looks like he's about to collapse in on himself. And he got his got up early, got his WALK and some breakfast. Now he's curled up in his bed under the table. Get him wrapped up in his blanket. Alright, so this is page 118 to 119. And I'm not going to draw the same skeleton. So let's see what we're going to get on the next page. I think the next page was actually muscles. So if you look here, this is the drawing. See how long it is. And then the skeleton up there is just the same one. So I'm going to skip that one. If it's muscles, we got muscles here. Should be enough time to get that done. 36 after. Muscles, there's a lot fewer of those than bones. So it gets repeated. So sometimes, like when I'm working on this stuff, I'll do, one page or half a page a day, depending on the number and complexity of the drawings on them. And then she's got these pages like this where, there's one drawing on 2 pages. I'd almost put it up here just because I have this space right here, but the shape of it, I would have to do it backwards or something. So we're just going to move on to the next page. I'm thinking about it. I have a Fang Zoo video playing in the background, and I think this one would be a good one to save into a list. I want to book this one. Save DI concept. Alright. So I think this would be good to kind of refer back to for the classes. Sounds like somebody got their car booped outside. All right. Yeah, but I do think sketchbooking is really important, and um, even if you are like bumping into your hand thing when you're drawing, like it's usually if I'm like sitting at a tape, sitting in a couch or something drawing instead of at my desk, it's a little bit different situation for the comfort. But this does really help having that piece of wood off to the side to kind of pivot off of when I'm sitting at the table. Makes a big difference. If I'm sketching on my own, it's kind of different because the way it sits in my lap or the way I hold it, like it just doesn't matter as much. I know some people they'll get a there's these clipboards that have like a box in the bottom of them. So they'll buy these clipboards that have like a box and like that, and they have the clipboard will be on top, and they'll put the draw on top of it, and then they store all their paper inside the clipboard. So I've seen people do that. Um, I just don't want to deal with all that loose leaf paper. I like. Plus, I found I really like this paper. This particular sketchbook. It's expensive, but it's a really nice paper. It's very kind of smooth Bristol boards type paper that's also like can take a beating. Like I can do watercolor on this paper if I wanted to. Which I'm kind of looking forward to finishing off the original Bramble sketchbook, which should be, there's like 8 or 9 pages left inside of it that I'm working on filling up with pen drawings, and then once I'm done with that one, then I can order another one of these books specifically for that project. I have another one that I'm doing kind of other things in that's similar to this sketchbook, and I have a smaller one too, but yeah, but people will get those, and they're not very expensive. You can usually find them in office supply stores, or Amazon, of course, will have them. Um, Yeah, so I think I'm going to make a point of making faculty feel bad about themselves. It's something I do professionally. Is point out our own faults and say, you know, well, if we want to have that, let's set that up. One of the things that's made like our figure. I was pointing out that our figure drawing sessions are really, really popular right now on a Friday night, and in fact, it used to be set up so like anyone could come, and then they had to change it because it got so full. Like they were trying to pack like 30 people into an 18-person classroom that they couldn't invite the public anymore. It could only just be students, and not all students that wanted in could get in. Which is great. You know, I haven't even. I was going some of the time, but part of it, I haven't going as much just because I get tired of doing short poses, and they're doing like, you know, a bunch of 20-minute drawings, and there's nothing wrong with a 20-minute drawing, but I get tired of doing them. It's kind of like not enough time to really get any meat out of it for myself. So, but that's a Friday night. But I was pointing out that, you know, the students have been going to this, and part of the reason why is one of the teachers has it. Well, some of the teachers, I guess, use it as like a makeup assignment for missed classes and things like that, and which is fine. But I don't think that's the best way to do that. But yeah, but it became very popular, and part of it is just due to, you know, classroom policy. Like when I was a student, I would just go to figure drawing sessions all the time. Even if I wasn't in the class, I would just go, and because I was obsessed with getting good at it. Like one of the teachers, he joked that he's like, oh, because I signed up for his class and I started taking it, and he's like, oh, you're finally actually taking the class. You're not actually just sitting in on it anymore. You're actually a student in the classroom, getting a grade. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, got it at some point, right? Yeah, so I think maybe thinking about that would help too. So when I was teaching a figure drawing class a long time ago, I made sketchbook like as their homework, and so basically their in-class work was you know, working on the drawings in class, but their homework was actually their sketchbook. And I gave them a couple of options. So one was, you know, drawings from direct observation, so drawing real things in the real world. And that didn't necessarily mean like crazy detailed, it just meant, you know, drawing real people and real places and all of that. And then the other thing was to do copies. And I've done that kind of sketchbook in different places too. And then I also required that they only use ink. So I've certainly done that sort of project before. And so they actually set up a drawing club in order to keep up with the amount of sketchbooking I was requiring for the class. So that they would meet and draw each other to help fill pages, because they had to do 10 pages a week in a full-size sketchbook. And it was probably too much homework, but one of the things that they had going for them was that it was a competitive program. And as a result, and so they wanted to do the extra work because they saw it as a way of improving their chances of getting into their program, which was an animation program. How are we doing for time? All right, 7 minutes left. There it is. There we go. There we go. I'm moving. There it goes. Must have hit a button. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking about was that. So they're always like, well, they're always just sitting on their phones looking at things. I'm like, well, yeah, but let's think beyond the surface problem and see what the actual thing that we could do. Good morning. Alright, we're going to finish this up in just a minute here, I think. Yeah, just kind of touching this up and then we'll call it a day. That gets me 4 pages in a single day, which, you know, like sometimes she does these drawings that are extra long and she repeats them. So like there's 2 of these muscle drawings on the same page. One's smaller for some reason. Usually she labels one of them. So she'll say, you know, there's the latissimus dorsi, and there's the serratus anterior, and there's the external obliques, and there's this, and there's that, and but in this case she just has them repeated. She did the same thing with this one as the previous one, where she just repeated the skeleton. In the original drawing of the animal, she had one that it was the same drawing, except one of them she bent the tail, so it was like she like all the marks on the body were the same, like all the strokes, but one of them had the tail bent. And so I drew that one just because it was a slightly different pose, even though it was really the same drawing. Alright, so this is page 120 to 121, and today is the 13th. Is it really Friday the 13th? Oh my god. We're all dead. It's a Christmas miracle that any of us are still alive, right? 24, 12, 13. So, yeah, so I've been on for about an hour. That's usually pretty good, I think, for these morning studies for now, because there's other things I'm trying to get done. But appreciate everybody that came in, and we'll talk to you all next time.